Hey, I'm Emma. Welcome to Emma's Betrayal Stories now. Before we start, go grab a snack and get comfortable for a bit. These stories aren't rushed, they're the kind you sit with. Today's story comes with an update and my own personal opinions throughout the story. Let me know in the comments if you agree or see it differently. Let's begin. After years of being overlooked, I won a major award and celebrated without my family. My name came out of the presenter's mouth like it belonged to someone else, stretched across the ballroom speakers with a tiny echo. I stood up so fast my chair legs scraped, and the sound punched through the polite applause like a cough. My palms were wet around the edge of the table, and when I turned toward the stage lights, I did the thing I always do. My eyes searched the crowd before my brain could stop them. Front row, left side, where I'd pictured my parents sitting. A gap. A couple I didn't recognize. Two empty seats that looked brighter than everything around them because they were waiting for people who weren't coming. My throat tightened hard enough that I swallowed air wrong, and it burned. I kept smiling because that's what you do when someone is clapping for you, but my face felt like it was held up by strings. I walked up the steps in heels that suddenly felt too high, my knee wobbling once, and I heard my own breath louder than the applause. The trophy was heavier than I expected, cool metal against my fingers, and when the presenter leaned in for that quick photo-op hug, her bracelet snagged my sleeve. "Congratulations," she whispered like we were friends. I nodded too many times. The camera flashed. Somewhere in the middle of the room someone whistled, and for a second I almost turned, thinking it might be my dad, like he'd pulled off a surprise. But it was just one of my coworkers, 2 tables over, grinning like he'd won it himself. I stood at the microphone and saw my reflection in the glossy black stage floor, chin lifted, shoulders back, trophy against my hip like I belonged there, and all I could think was I did it and the people who raised me couldn't be bothered to watch. It was a Tuesday night when I sent the invitation to my family group chat, the one with the ugly default name, Family, because my mom never changes anything. I remember because I'd just finished a 12-hour day at work, my hair was still pinned up with a pen, and I was sitting on the floor of my apartment eating leftover rice straight out of the container. The email from the award committee had come through that afternoon. Finalist, ceremony date, dress code, +1 allowed. And my hands shook while I typed the message because I wanted it to matter so badly. I wrote it in the breezy, low-pressure way you write when you're terrified people will say no. "Hey, I'm up for a big award at work. Ceremony is on the 18th. Would love if you guys came." I added the venue, time, and a photo of the invite like proof I wasn't making it up. Then I stared at the scent, label, and waited for the little typing bubbles that never came. My family has a way of treating my milestones like background noise. It's not one dramatic villain moment. It's a slow drip of small dismissals that add up until you realize you're living in a house where your voice is always turned down. I'm the youngest of 3. My sister Talia is the golden child, first grandchild maker, first homeowner, the one who did everything right because she married her high school boyfriend and gave my parents the kind of family photos they like to frame. My brother Jordan is the loud one. He never really succeeded at anything long-term, but he's charming and funny, and my dad treats his potential like a currency that never runs out. I'm the quiet one. I got the scholarships, the promotions, the degrees. I'm the one who reads contracts before signing them and remembers birthdays and shows up when someone needs a lift from the airport. On paper, I'm the successful one. In my family, I'm the independent one, which is their favorite excuse for not showing up. Growing up, I learned that if I wanted praise, I had to earn it twice. Once by doing the thing, and again by making it convenient for everyone else to celebrate. If my soccer game was far away, they didn't come. If my recital was on a night Talia had a school project, mine was less important. When I got into my first choice program at university, my mom said, "That's nice," then asked if I could help Talia pick a dress for her formal. When I graduated, my dad hugged me, stiff and quick, then joked that now I could finally get a real job. When I got my first promotion, my parents sent a thumbs up in the group chat and then asked if I could lend Jordan money for a business idea. I did, because I still believed being generous would eventually make them see me. It didn't. The award I won was for project leadership at my company, an industry association thing judged by a panel, not some participation trophy. I'd spent 2 years on a brutal rollout that saved our biggest client from leaving, and I did it while covering for a manager who took credit publicly and then cried privately whenever she had to do anything hard. I didn't do it for applause. I did it because I'm the kind of person who can't watch something fall apart without trying to hold it up. But when I got nominated, something in me sparked anyway, because it was the first time an external group of people said, "Clearly, we see you." 3 hours after I sent that family group chat message, my mom replied, "That's great, sweetheart, so proud." Then, in the same breath, "Can you send the ceremony details again? Jordan might be working." "No, we'll be there." "No, tell me what you need." Talia responded the next day with, "OMG, cool. Not sure if we can make it though. It's Mason's daycare concert that night." Mason is her son. He's 3. His concert is a room full of toddlers shaking tambourines. Jordan didn't respond at all. I called my dad the weekend before the ceremony. I tried to sound casual, but my voice betrayed me with that hopeful lift at the end of my sentences. "So, are you guys coming?" I asked. There was a pause, like he was scanning his mental calendar and not finding me on it. "Love, I don't think so," he said. "Your mom's been flat out helping Talia. And your brother's got stuff on." "What stuff?" I heard myself ask, sharper than I meant. Dad sighed like I was being difficult. "Work, life, you know. You'll be fine. You've always been fine." It hit me in the chest the way "you'll be fine" always does. Not reassurance. Dismissal. "I'm up for an award," I said, and I hated how small I sounded. "It's kind of a big deal." "It's a work thing," he replied, like that explained everything. "We'll celebrate later. You can tell us all about it." Later is where my accomplishments go to die. The day of the ceremony, my mom texted me at 5:47 p.m., "Good luck tonight." Then, at 5:49 p.m., "Also, do you have that photo of Mason from Christmas? Talia wants to print it." I stood in my bathroom with my hair half curled, staring at my phone, and I felt something crack so quietly I almost missed it. My hands kept moving. Curl, pin, spray like muscle memory, but my brain went flat. I sent the photo of Mason. Of course I did. Then I turned my phone face down on the counter, like I couldn't bear to look at it anymore. At the venue, my coworker and my closest friend, Priya, squeezed my hand when we got to our table. "I'm so proud of you," she said, and I believed her. That was the weirdest part. People who hadn't known me since birth could see me more clearly than my own family. When my category was called, I did what I described at the start. I looked for my family and saw absence where I'd built a picture. Then I went on stage anyway. I said my speech anyway. I thanked my team and my mentor and the client that gave me a chance. I did not mention my family. I didn't want to give them credit for something they didn't show up for. The trophy was cold in my hands. My throat worked like it wanted to cry, but I didn't. I smiled. I posed. I walked back to my table, and Priya hugged me so tight my ribs hurt. After the ceremony, there was an after-party at a bar down the street. Nothing fancy, just reserved tables, too loud music, and people still wearing lanyards like they forgot they weren't at a conference anymore. Everyone kept handing me drinks I didn't ask for. I kept laughing too loudly. My phone buzzed in my purse, and every time it did, my stomach dipped, like maybe this time it would be my mom saying, "We're sorry, we should have been there." It wasn't. At 11:12 p.m., the family group chat lit up. My mom had seen the award announcement on Facebook. She wrote, "OMG, my girl won," with about 10 exclamation marks. Then she added, "So proud of you, darling. You make us look so good. Make us look so good." I stood in the bar with my trophy tucked under my arm like a handbag and felt my face go hot. Priya saw my expression and leaned in. "What?" she asked. I showed her the message. Priya's eyes narrowed in a way that made me love her even more. "Oh, absolutely not," she said. Talia chimed in. Why, sis? Knew you'd do it. Post pics." Jordan finally appeared with, "Congrats, little sis. Drinks on you now." My mom immediately replied, "Yes. We need a proper family dinner to celebrate. This weekend. Everyone come. Maya, bring the award." There it was. The pivot. They didn't come to celebrate me. They wanted me to bring proof of my success so they could stand next to it. For a long minute, I didn't respond. My fingers hovered over the screen, and I could feel my heart beating in my throat like it was trying to jump out and run. I looked around at the bar, my coworkers dancing badly, Priya sipping her drink, Malik from sales doing a terrible karaoke version of something from the 2000s. People who chose to be here. People who showed up. I realized that if I said yes to my mom's dinner, I'd spend the whole night handing my trophy around like a prop, smiling while my dad said something like, "See, we always knew you'd do well." And my sister talked over me about Mason's daycare. And then I'd go home feeling hollow again. So I typed, "Thanks. I'm celebrating tonight with my friends. I won't be bringing the award to a family dinner." The reply came fast. "Mum. Why are you being like this?" Talia. LOL, dramatic much. Jordan. It's just dinner, relax. My dad didn't text, but he called. Over and over. The phone vibrated on the table like a trapped insect. Priya watched me, waiting. I stepped outside the bar into the cold night air and answered on the third call. "What is your problem?" Dad's voice hit my ear, already angry, like I'd done something unforgivable. "My problem," I said, and my voice shook, "is that you didn't come." A pause, then a scoff. "We couldn't. You know that." "You could have," I snapped. "You chose not to." Dad exhaled hard. "Stop making it a thing. Your mother is excited. We're proud. Why isn't that enough?" "Because it's always after. Because you're proud when other people clap first. Because you want the photos, not the work," I said, carefully, because I could feel myself slipping toward tears. "I invited you. You didn't come. Now you want to host a dinner, like you were there." "I don't want that." Dad's voice sharpened. "So, you're punishing us." "I'm not punishing anyone," I said. "I'm just done dragging you into my life like a child asking for attention." That was when Dad said the line I'll never forget because it made everything make sense in a horrible, clean way. "You're acting like we owe you," he said. I stood on the sidewalk with my breath smoking in the air and thought, oh, that's it. That's the core. They've never seen showing up as something you do out of love. They see it as a debt. "I'm hanging up," I said, and my hand was trembling as I did it. When I walked back inside, Priya looked at my face and didn't ask questions. She just put an arm around my shoulders and steered me toward the booth, where everyone was laughing. "Sit," she said, firm. "Drink water. Breathe." I did. I tried to let the night be mine. 2 days later, my parents showed up at my apartment without warning. I was in sweatpants, hair still wet from a shower, eating toast when the door buzzer went off. I opened it thinking it might be a neighbor or a delivery. The camera showed my mum standing there with a bright smile like she was arriving to a surprise party, and my dad behind her with his arms crossed. My stomach dropped. I didn't buzz them in. I just spoke through the intercom. "What are you doing here?" "Maya," Mum sang, like I was being silly. "We're coming up. We brought pastries." "No," I said. "Not right now." My dad leaned toward the speaker. "Let us up." The old version of me would have. The version that still believed family meant you let people cross your lines because they share your blood. Instead, I said, "If you come up, I won't open the door." There was a second of silence. Then Mum's tone turned sharp. "Are you serious? Over a dinner?" "It's not about dinner," I said, and I could feel my hands start to shake again. "It's about you showing up now that I have something you can post about." Dad's voice cut in. "We didn't raise you to be ungrateful." Ungrateful. The word they always use when I don't do what they want. "I'm not doing this at my front door," I said. "Please leave." Mum's mouth fell open on the screen like she couldn't believe her obedient child had grown teeth.
"Fine," she snapped.
"But don't come crying to us when you need family." They left. I sat on the floor with my back against the door for a long time, my toast untouched on the counter, and I didn't cry. I felt numb. which scared me more than tears would have. That night, Talia texted me privately. "Mom's really upset. You could have just let them celebrate you. Why do you always make things hard?" I stared at the message until my eyes hurt. Then I replied, "Because it's always on your schedule. Always about what you need. I wanted you there. You weren't." She wrote back, "I have a kid. You don't get it." And that's where I'm going to end the story midway, because what happened next is what made me finally stop trying to be the version of myself they liked most, the one who swallowed everything. Honestly, Maya's family is exhausting in a very specific way, not cartoon evil, just relentlessly self-centered. The "Mums, you make us look so good" text is such a tell, because it's not even disguised as pride in her daughter, it's pride in the reflection. And the dad saying, "You're acting like we owe you" is brutal because, yes, showing up is literally what family is supposed to do. If your love only appears after other people validate someone, that's not support, that's networking. Talia's "I have a kid, you don't get it" is also classic golden child logic. Motherhood as a trump card for ignoring everyone else's life. A toddler daycare concert is not an emergency. It's an excuse that conveniently places Talia's world at the center again. Jordan's "drinks on you now" is exactly the kind of guy who treats other people's wins like a vending machine. And Maya? She's been trained to hand over proof of her achievements like a peace offering. The trophy becomes a prop, a family photo accessory, something they can pose with to claim they were part of the journey. The healthiest thing she did was not buzzing them into her apartment. That's a boundary with actual teeth, not a polite request they can steamroll. And the "don't come crying to us when you need family" line is emotional blackmail, basically. Be convenient now or we'll punish you later. So yeah. The family wants celebration without participation, credit without effort, and access without respect. The only way to win that game is to stop playing it.
Update.
So, after I posted this, or rather, after I talked about it to a couple friends who told me I was basically living in a constant guilt loop, I decided to do something I've avoided for years. I wrote down the facts like it was a work incident report.
No emotions.
Just dates, invites, responses, what was said. Because every time I try to talk to my family, it turns into "you're too sensitive, that didn't happen, you're remembering it wrong," and I start doubting my own brain. Here's the factual timeline. I invited them to the ceremony weeks in advance. They didn't commit to attending. I called and asked directly. Dad said no. They congratulated me only after seeing it online. They demanded a dinner and the trophy. They showed up at my home uninvited when I didn't comply. When you put it like that, it reads less like a misunderstanding and more like a pattern. I took a day off work, I know, dramatic, but I couldn't focus. And I asked my dad to meet me for coffee without my mom. I picked a cafe halfway between our places, public, neutral, no home turf. Dad arrived 10 minutes late, annoyed before he even sat down. "What is this?" he asked, like I'd called him in for a performance review. "It kind of is," I said, and I hated that my voice trembled even when I was trying to be calm. I pulled out my phone and showed him the invitation message I sent. Then I showed him his missed calls that night. Then "Mums, you make us look so good" text. Then the screenshot of my own message saying I wouldn't bring the award. Dad barely looked at it. He leaned back and crossed his arms. "So, what, you want an apology?" "Yes," I said. Simple. My heart hammered like it was trying to escape. "I want you to admit you should have been there. Or at least admit that it hurts that you weren't." He stared at me for a long moment, like I'd asked him to speak a language he didn't know. Then he said, "We had priorities." The words landed like a slap. Because he didn't even try to deny it. He just said it out loud. "And I wasn't one of them," I replied. Dad's jaw tightened. "Don't twist my words." "I'm not twisting anything," I said, and I could feel myself getting that familiar hot pressure behind my eyes. "You told me I'd be fine. You told me we'd celebrate later. That's what you always say. Later never comes unless it benefits you." Dad's expression flickered. Something like discomfort, quickly smothered by irritation. "Your mother was excited," he said. "She was proud. You embarrassed her by shutting her out." That sentence was the moment I realized the conversation was not about me. It was about Mum's feelings being inconvenienced by my boundary. I took a slow breath. I didn't embarrass her, I said. She embarrassed herself by trying to take credit for something she didn't show up for. Dad's eyes narrowed. Watch your mouth. No, I said, and my hands shook around my coffee cup. I'm not going to keep talking like my life is a side project for this family. I'm not going to keep proving myself and then letting you all pretend you were part of it. He leaned forward. You're being cruel, he said quietly. We're your parents. And I'm your daughter, I replied. That's the point. We sat in silence for a second. The cafe noise filled the gap. Milk steaming, someone laughing, plates clinking. Dad looked older up close than he did in my head. The lines around his eyes were deeper. His hair was grayer. For a moment, a softer part of me wanted to reach across the table and fix it all the way I always tried to. Then Dad said, Your mother thinks you're punishing her because you're jealous of your sister. I actually laughed. Not a happy laugh. A disbelief laugh that came out sharp and made the couple at the next table glance over. Jealous. I repeated. Dad, I'm not jealous of daycare concerts. Dad's face reddened. Don't be disrespectful. I leaned in, voice low. I am tired, I said. I am tired of being the one who understands. The one who adjusts. The one who keeps the peace. I won an award, and the first thing Mum said was that it made you look good. That's not pride. That's ownership. Dad stared at his coffee, like it might give him a better answer. So, what do you want? He asked, tired now. I want space, I said. I want you to stop showing up at my home. I want you to stop demanding access to my life only when there's something to show off. If you want to celebrate me, you do it by showing up when I invite you, not by demanding a trophy after the fact. Dad's mouth worked like he wanted to argue. Then he said, Your mother will never accept this. I'm not asking her to accept it, I said. I'm telling you what I will and won't do. When I got home, Mum had already texted. Your father says you were rude. If you're going to be like this, don't bother coming to Sunday lunch. Then she followed it with, Also, Nana wants to see the award. She's upset you won't bring it. So the celebration turned into a punishment within hours. Predictable. Here's the part that surprised me. I didn't cave. I didn't rush to fix it. I didn't write a 10-paragraph message explaining my feelings like a lawyer for my own existence. I just replied, Okay, I won't be coming. Mum called. I didn't answer. Jordan sent a message. Why are you causing drama? Mum's crying. I didn't answer. Talia posted a photo of Mason with a caption about family being everything. I muted her. And then, because life is weirdly balanced sometimes, my coworkers threw me a tiny office celebration on Friday. No speech, no pressure. They bought a cheap cake with my name spelled wrong. Malik made a joke about how the trophy could be used as a weapon in a parking lot fight. Priya gave me a card that said, Stop begging people to see you. I went to the bathroom afterward and cried silently in a stall because it was the first time celebration felt simple and clean. I also booked my first therapy appointment in years because I realized I've been measuring my worth against people who only clap when it's convenient. So that's where things are right now. I'm basically low contact. I haven't blocked anyone yet, but I'm not responding to guilt texts. If they want access, they can learn to respect the door. Now, continuing the story to finish it off. 2 weeks after the coffee meeting, my mum sent a message that looked harmless on the surface. Family dinner Sunday. We'll do it properly. Your aunties are coming. Bring the award. I stared at it and felt my stomach do that old flip again. The invite wasn't an olive branch. It was a trap dressed as a table setting. I could picture it perfectly. My mum introducing me like a guest, not a daughter. My dad making a joke about how we always knew. My aunties asking what I did exactly, then immediately turning to Talia to ask about Mason. Then the trophy passed around, photos taken, Facebook posts written. My achievement turned into a family accessory. I texted back. No. One word.
No explanation.
The reply came in under a minute. If you don't come, You're choosing to break this family. That one landed in my chest, not because it was true, but because it was the role they'd always assigned me. The glue. The peacekeeper. The one responsible for holding everyone together while they pulled. I stared at my phone until the screen dimmed. Then I did something I'd never done before. I put the trophy back in its box, not like I was hiding it, but like I was putting it away for safekeeping. Mine, not theirs. I dressed in jeans and a sweater, grabbed my keys, and drove to a small restaurant near the water, where Priya and a few friends were meeting me. I didn't tell my family where I was. I didn't check their messages. I chose my own celebration on purpose. At dinner, when the waiter asked if we were celebrating something, Priya said, yes, she won a major award and learned the word no. Everyone laughed, and I laughed too, and it felt like my lungs finally took a full breath. Later that night, I came home to 12 missed calls and a voicemail from Dad. I listened to it once. Maya, his voice said, heavy, your mother is devastated. I don't know what's gotten into you. Call us. We're family. I didn't call. I sat on my couch and let the silence settle without trying to fill it with apology. The next morning, I got a message from my grandmother. Nana isn't dramatic. She's blunt. She wrote, I heard you won something big. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. If you want, come have tea with me this week. Just you. I read that message and felt something unclench inside me, because it was the first offer that didn't come with conditions or props. I went to Nana's on Wednesday. She made tea and cut fruit like she always does, neat slices laid out like she was feeding a child. She listened while I told her everything, the absence, the dinner demands, the uninvited apartment visit, the guilt texts. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she reached across the table and patted my hand once. Firm. Your mother likes to be the center, she said simply. She always has.
Ist sehr her.
Why didn't anyone tell me that? I asked, my voice small. Nana shrugged like it was obvious. We thought you knew. I laughed, a little. I thought I was the problem, I admitted. Nana's eyes narrowed. You are not the problem, she said. You have been trying to earn love that should have been given. Then she did something that made me blink back tears. She stood up, went to her bookshelf, and pulled out a photo frame. Inside was a printed picture from the award ceremony. Someone from my work must have tagged her, or she'd asked someone, I don't know. She'd printed it and framed it. Me on stage, trophy in hand, smile wide, eyes shining. I wanted to have it where I can see it, she said. I swallowed hard. Thank you. I managed. When I left Nana's house, I didn't feel cured or fixed. But I felt anchored, like I finally had proof that love doesn't have to be chased. My mom still hasn't apologized. My dad still talks like I'm going through a phase. Talia still posts passive-aggressive things about family unity. Jordan still sends messages like nothing happened. But here's the thing. The more I stop responding, the quieter my head gets. The less I beg, the more I can hear my own life. Last weekend, I put the trophy on a shelf in my living room, not because I need to stare at it, but because it belongs in my space. It's not a family prop. It's a marker of work I did, nights I stayed up, risks I took, confidence I built piece by piece while my family looked the other way. And I celebrated again. No big party, just dinner with friends and Nana, candles on a small cake, laughter that didn't feel tense. When I blew the candles out, Priya said, "Make a wish." I looked around at the people who actually showed up and said, "I already got it." Maya's family gives off the kind of energy that drains you without ever giving you a clean reason to be angry, which is almost worse because it keeps you stuck in the "am I overreacting?" spiral. Mom is the obvious problem. She treats her daughter's achievement like a family PR opportunity. "You make us look so good" is not a proud parent sentence, it's a brand manager sentence. She doesn't want to celebrate Maya as a person. She wants the photo evidence that Maya's success reflects well on her parenting. Dad is sneakier, but equally damaging, because he hides behind practicality and authority. His whole "you'll be fine" and "stop making it a thing" routine is basically emotional eviction. He's telling Maya her feelings are inconvenient, and therefore invalid. And the line, "you're acting like we owe you," is genuinely wild coming from a parent, because yes, showing up is literally the bare minimum of the job. Talia is the golden child who's learned to weaponize "I have a kid" as a permanent excuse, which is convenient because it means Maya's life will always rank below toddler tambourines. Jordan is a leech in the mildest, most irritating way. He only appears when there's something to take or a chance to turn Maya's win into a joke about what she should buy him. Nana, though? Nana is the antidote. She's what family is supposed to feel like. Direct, steady, no performance, no conditions. She didn't demand the trophy. She framed Maya's photo because she actually wanted to see her granddaughter shine. And Maya's arc is the best part because she doesn't win by humiliating anyone or staging a revenge moment. She wins by doing the adult brutal thing. She stops auditioning for love. She stops explaining herself into exhaustion. She lets her family be mad without volunteering to be the solution. That's the kind of boundary that terrifies people who rely on guilt because there's nothing to grab. So yeah, if mom wants to play victim and dad wants to call it disrespect, they can sit with that discomfort. Maya didn't break the family. She just stopped being the glue that held together a structure that never protected her in the first place.